Hi, this is Heather Jerome from heatherjerome.com and from the Sonatas and Partitas.com. This video is a part 2 tutorial about the Sarabanda from the first violin partita in B minor, BWV 1002. Now, in part 1, we discussed the historical provenance of the Sarabanda. Let's just say that it did not start its life as the graceful courtly dance that we all now know. It did have a rather bumpy beginning. But here we are now in Bach's time. The saraband is duly accepted, much loved. And in fact, out of all the courtly dances that Bach wrote, he wrote more sarabands than any other type. And also in the guitar literature that we commonly play, we have more of his sarabands than of any other dance. In the cello suites, there's one in each suite. In the sonatas and partitas, there are 2, and 3 if you count this one's double. And in the lute music, there are another 2. And the other interesting thing is that out of all the sarabands that Bach wrote, he only wrote 1 for an ensemble. And so you can think of this, that in Bach's hands, the saraband is, it's like a virtuoso solo piece. You know, there's 2 ways you can think of virtuosity, and really they both apply to the sarabands. One of them is, you know, somebody who's got like extreme technical facility and they can just toss stuff off as if there's no problem to it. And the sarabands tend to be, I'm not going to say slow, but slower, and they do offer a lot of opportunity for embellishments and ornamentation. And the other aspect of virtuosity that should never be ignored is the fact that a soloist has a lot more training and a lot more capability in playing with subtle nuances and you know, variety and tone and stuff like that. And so all these qualities apply to sarabands, and to this one very much as well. And on the other hand, you can think of a saraband, well, they are, along with the gavotte, the most simple dances. They're almost always in 4 or 8 bar phrases. If you go onto YouTube and watch people dancing the sarabands, you'll probably find that all or almost all of them are in 2 sections, like all dances, and each section is 8 bars and repeated. So structurally, there's nothing, you know, fancy about them. And, you know, this particular saraband is one of the easier pieces to play in the sonatas and partitas. I mean, for guitarists anyway. If I have an intermediate guitarist, I would give them this piece to learn. But still, beneath this sort of like apparent simplicity, it's full of little treasures and moments of interest that, you know, even the most advanced players can learn from. So, in the initial video, I discussed about the rhythm of a saraband and how we're pretty much all taught that a saraband goes 1, 2, 3, 1. No, it goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But in actual fact, these French sarabands go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3. And what this offers a composer is a possibility for using hemiola, because if you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and you have the 3 little groups of 2-beat units, and so you can stretch that out over 2 bars and have a hemiola, and really they are in these 2-bar structures anyway. And Bach does take advantage of that in this saraband. It's in the bass line, and the top is kind of staggered over it, so it doesn't really jump out at you so much, but it's definitely there. And let's just have a look at the first sections. If we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3. And now here's where the hemiola starts. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you just listen to the bass line, is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3, and here's the hemiola. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. It's very much there. The other thing to think about in this cadence, or to notice, is it's a Phrygian cadence, the old modal Phrygian cadence that ends, you know, rather than a cadence would otherwise, like that. And I read something by Matheson where he was discussing this, and he said that the key of B minor lends itself well to Phrygian cadences. Well, Matheson was a friend of Bach's, and I read that and I thought, why? Why would B minor lend itself to Phrygian cadence? Why not A minor? And, you know, why not any other minor key? And I figured the only answer can be that it's because of their tuning. You know, Bach worked with the well-tempered temperament. The well-tempered clavier is to showcase this temperament, and that particular, the well-tempered, any of the temperaments except equal temperament have unequal semitones. And so the semitone going from in that particular key in that temperament must have been very well suited for that intensity. And they definitely, aside from the well-tempered clavier, were very aware of how their temperament affected their key of choice. And a lot of the whole doctrine of affects that we read about now was based within that. You know, that they said the key of C major is for simplicity and joy. Well, the key of C major is the only key that's like really, really well in tune for all the intervals. So yeah, it does sound simple and joyful. You know, and other keys, you know, they would say they have a lot of angst. B minor has a lot of sadness. Well, the minor third must have been, you know, especially poignant. So I think this concludes part 2. I don't think we'll have time to do the whole second half of the Sarabande within the limit of the video time. So stay tuned for part 3. As always, let us know what you think at sonatasandpartitas.com. And if you'd like to be notified when new videos come out, just subscribe to our channel and turn on your notifications.